Hi everyone. Today we will be talking about colonial economics and also politics. It's a much shorter presentation today, but the same thing. Raise your hand if you have questions. If there's anything you don't understand, let me know. If you're not sure what an answer is, just let me know. Just raise your hand and I'll come by. So we're going to quickly review this colonial map. I'm going to have some questions pop up just asking about the colonial regions. You just have to remember the New England colonies right up here, which includes Massachusetts, Connecticut, New Hampshire, and this part right here is part of Massachusetts. There's also Rhode Island, Connecticut. Next, we have the middle colonies in purple. We have Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, New York. And then the rest of these are the southern colonies. So I'm going to leave this up for a sec and insert all the questions that appear. Okay, so now we will talk about colonial economics. So the New England colonies developed an economy based on shipbuilding, fishing, lumbering, and small-scale subsistence farming, and eventually manufacturing. So just so you guys know, lumbering has to do with wood. It's where they chop down trees and they get the wood from trees, because the wood from trees can build houses, can build huts, can build boats. Small-scale subsistence farming, that just meant it was small farming. It wasn't big, it was small farming. And eventually they started manufacturing. That means where they create items. They make goods. They're not growing food, they're just manufacturing. And the colonies prospered and reflected the Puritans' strong belief in hard work and thrift. So Puritans believed in working hard. They also believed in being thrift, as in having new ideas, using all the resources you have. Next, we'll be talking about the middle colonies of New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware. They developed economies based on shipbuilding, small-scale farming, and trading. So it's similar to the New England colonies. Both of them did shipbuilding. They're both along the coast. They also did small-scale farming. So it's not like the South, which we talked about, that had the really large farms. They just had small-scale farming. And they were also big on trading. They traded with a lot of the Native Americans. They got a lot of goods that they brought back to Europe and sold. Cities such as New York and Philadelphia began to grow as seaports and or commercial centers. So when it says commercial centers, it just means a place where a lot of people traded. Wherever you were in the United States at this time, if you went to New York or Philadelphia, it would be a good place to trade. There was a lot of people there. The last one we will be talking about is the southern colonies. They developed economies in the eastern coastal lowlands based on large plantations that grew cash crops, which would be tobacco, rice, indigo, for exports to Europe. So unlike the New England and middle colonies, they had large plantations. A large plantation is just a large farm. It was very, very big, and they grew tobacco, rice, and indigo. We talked about tobacco was the biggest product that they grew, and all of this was going to Europe. Some of it stayed in the United States, but most of this was going to Europe because the countries in Europe, in particular England, they wanted to export this product and make money off of it. You have to remember the United States was part of England at this time. And lastly, in the mountains and valleys of the Appalachian foothills, the economy was based on small-scale subsistence farming, hunting, and trading. And in the United States at this time, there was a strong belief in private ownership of property, and free enterprise characterized colonial life everywhere. The economic system of mercantilism used by imperial nations created a system of interdependence between the mother country and its colonies. So if you look at this little chart right here, the colonizing country, which is what the United States was, and the colony is what England would have been. The United States manufactured a lot of goods, they got a lot of raw materials, and it just kind of went in this little cycle right here. Remember, these countries were trying to export. They were trying to sell these items. We'll quickly go over the politics. And the first meetings of a representative government in Virginia occurred at Jamestown in 1619. New England colonies used town meetings, an Athenian direct democracy model in the operation of government. So they would have, when it says a town hall meeting, it's just a lot of people would meet somewhere. Maybe usually it would be at a church, and whatever came up, something they wanted to change in their society, they would have a direct democracy. It just meant everybody voted on the ideas that somebody proposed. And the last slide now, we'll be discussing the middle colonies. And the middle colonies incorporated a number of democratic principles that reflected the basic rights of Englishmen. You guys don't have to know about the basic rights of Englishmen. If you guys have taken government, you should have learned a little bit about it back then. But all you have to know is that the middle colonies took a lot of the principles from the basic rights of Englishmen. And the southern colonies maintained close ties with Britain, with planters playing leading roles in representative colonial legislators. So a lot of the people who were planters, a lot of farmers, they were in the legislature, which just means they made a bunch of the laws. That's it for today. If you have any questions, let me know.